And we do welcome you to the C&C Auto Show. I am Aaron Clements with co-host David Clark.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Are we ready to roll?
Let's go.
And we also have Jamie Bridges over here.
Good morning.
And we also have a special guest, a guest co-host, actually. And that would be Michael Rivers, Bo's Machine Shop. And actually, I kind of said that wrong. I made a mistake. We're actually Michael's guest today.
Yes, sir.
That we are.
Because we are in Bo's Machine Shop. And this is where I'm guessing that Michael spends a large portion of his life here.
Oh, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, it's located over here at 1242 Gordon Park Road in Augusta, Georgia. And I have been wanting to do a remote here for a long, long time.
Yeah, this place is awesome.
Yeah, every time I come in here, I just love it. I love to walk around and look at the beautiful equipment that's here. He always keeps it, very clean.
Oh, yeah.
It just always looks so good. Almost looks like some of the race shops that you see where they keep them looking really good. And we and plus you get to walk around and see all the different things that's here. Like behind us, we have a cylinder head from a Cummins diesel. And when you see a semi-truck going down the road, that thing or something like it is sitting on top of that engine and making everything happen.
Well,
so,
Jamie got to amaze Mason when she knew exactly what it was. And Mason's like, that's a cylinder in the truck? And Jamie's like, oh, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Jamie just stealing the show again. So.
Well, Jamie, this is part of your younger childhood, wasn't it? Machine shop.
It is. I grew up in a machine shop in Augusta.
Yeah. And you were tinkering with things like that when you were just a little small girl. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was out back behind the shop making grease pies instead of mud pies. That was you remember the old Quaker State days where they'd gunk up the inside of it and then it'd turn into this hard goo. It's almost like clay.
But
crust,
evidently some of that soaked into your blood because now the automotive industry is in your blood.
Yeah, I'm surprised I hadn't grown like a third arm somewhere or something from playing in all that junk as a kid.
All right. Well, we are finally here. And we're getting to do a remote. And what's good about this today is you'll be able to ask automotive questions. Somebody's here to answer those. But also you have trucks. We have somebody in the trucking industry. Now we have somebody in the machine shop industry, and we have somebody in the collision repair industry.
There we go.
And he also knows a lot about insurance companies too. He has a little knowledge in that department also. So if you have a question, you can give us a call. Now, you can just tune in, listen to us on your favorite station. But another option is you can go to facebook.com/CC Auto Show. You can watch the show and listen to the show that way. Or you can just go to ccautoshow.com. That part of it is brought to you by Kingdom Web Pros, and they build a beautiful website. They can make your vision reality of what you're looking for a website, and also they can make it happen for you. They can move your business to the next level. Wonderful people to work with. Do you think we should start this thing off with a tech tip quiz?
We got to pull it out.
Yeah, and really, this is a tech tip quiz that we need an answer to really bad because we kind of touched on it last week. We really didn't throw it out there officially. But this is the official rollout of today's tech tip. Billy was driving his 2018 Chevy truck. He went out in the woods. I don't think he was hunting, but he was just kind of looking for the place to hunt. He got out to some really heavy brush, and he got a tick. When he got home, he did something that got rid of it. What did he do? And if you know the answer to today's tech tip quiz, you give us a call. That's 800-224-9090, and you could be a tech tip quiz winner. And I think along with the other prize package items that they have in there, we've also got an O'Reilly Penlight flashlight that they gave us a bunch of those to give out for our Tech Tip Quiz prizes too. So we got an addition inside there. All right. What I was thinking is a great way to kind of start this off is we would all shoot some questions over at Michael in the beginning.
Uh-oh.
Just
Yeah,
a
that's what I
barrage.
Yeah, we'll throw some questions over there at him. So any question that you might think of, and I'll go ahead and start it start us off because we want an idea of what Michael does day to day, and that's what are some of the more common jobs that you run into in the machine shop world?
Gee, that's a good question. We do so much and so much different things that it's hard to put any one thing is the most common, but I would guess cylinder head work is probably
that was my guess.
The most common thing because, it's at one time it was fairly simple for somebody to pull a head off an engine. It's gotten a lot more complicated in the years, but, of course you got overhead cams and timing chains and all kind of stuff that complicate it. But I would say cylinder head work's the most common. People blowing gaskets, overheating cars, stuff like that.
And I'll tell people now, professional shops know this. If they pull a cylinder head off of a vehicle, it automatically goes to the machine shop. In our case, we take it over here to Bo's machine shop. The reason I like to bring it to Bo's is because before he does all the work on the head, he takes a look at it. And if he suspects a crack, he'll either show it to you then or find it before you go spend money on that head. And that's important because you could do the best machine shop work in the world, but if the thing's cracked, you're wasting your money. So you want to know about it as soon as you possibly can. So bring a good high-end machine shop's really important. Now, this is whether you're doing it professionally or if you're doing it yourself. If you're putting a cylinder head on in your backyard, it has to be, you need to take that head in and have it checked and have it resurfaced. And if it needs a valve job, have the valves redone, the things that need to be done. Okay, David, your next question.
Man, I look around this place, and so I guess my biggest question is, like, how are you at finding people to actually do this? Do you have a huge crowd of people that are getting into this, or?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Finding, qualified laborers definitely a challenge. And what we do is so much different than, a lot of other industries, and especially us specifically because, we work on virtually anything.
Right.
I've got a single cylinder lawnmower engine from like the probably 70s over there that, just a block assembly that we rebuilt up to, off the road diesel engines, huge things. So, and everything in between. And, you never know what's coming in the door. If we had like a run of one specific thing, it would be much easier for me to get my labor in line to,
right,
almost assembly line stuff. But the way it is now, we really got to work on training them in-house. That way they're ready to adapt to the different jobs that come through the door. But,
I mean, I look at all your equipment here, and my brain starts to go, like these kids today, they use these 3D printers, right, and that are building things. And, how do you take that and say, hey, you can build that on the 3D printer, but let me come show you how you can do this in a machine shop? Because what you guys create out of metal is what's fascinating to me.
Yeah, for sure. We've definitely tried to keep up with the times because it makes it easier on my guys. And, the better equipment I have, the less skilled of an operator it takes to run it. Where some of the older equipment, there's a lot of feel involved in it. I mean, even sound, you're listening to how it's cutting and stuff like that. So that's one thing that we've done, but there's still no substitute for skilled labor.
There you go.
I mean, they're just hitting.
And plus, on top of that, along with the beautiful equipment in here, you have it comfortable for the people working here. You have AC inside this large facility to where they're able to, like you mentioned, they don't have fans blowing everywhere and going crazy, to where they can listen to the sound of different things. Let's go to the callers, and we will go over to, let's see here. I think that was Jeff, if I'm not mistaken. Good morning.
Sure.
Welcome to the C&C Auto Show.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. What can we help you with?
I'm going to attempt to answer the tech tip quiz.
Oh, my goodness. Let me find out if we can put you on stage. I'm not positive if we can or not. Yeah, well, I guess we can. We can do that. And here is the tech tip quiz. Billy was driving a 18 Chevy truck out in the woods. He got out into some heavy brush. as he developed a tick. When he got home, he did something that got rid of it. What did he do? And what is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
There's a real good chance that he got some brush caught up in a CV joint or his universal joint, and when he got home, he found out that's what it was and got it out.
Oh, so he was why? How did that develop a tick? What was the tick?
When it was rotating, it was
Oh,
against part of the cup.
it wasn't a tick stuck to his body then, which can cause some nasty problems. So you're saying that the tick was more of a sound of a tick. What if the tick? What if the tick had more to do with an engine sound? Because we're at a machine shop today. Could it have been that? Something to do with developed a tick? I tell you what, we're gonna get this over with here. Let's go ahead.
It could have caused.
All right, we're gonna announce you the winner. So I mean that's automatic. So you got that in the bag. So we'll go ahead and lay this part out. Actually, the tick was in his 5.3 Chevy engine. He caught it early, added a delete plug to deactivate the AFM. Then he changed the oil and then replaced 1 quart with Hot Shot Secret Tick Fix Plus Protect. And it took care of the tick. What happens inside the lifters, they can build up some varnish and carbon inside there. And that can hold the lifter open. And then if you let that go too long, then you start developing wear on your camshaft and in different areas. The metal from the camshaft flows through the engine and causes other problems. Michael, am I sounding?
Come see me then.
Yeah, then you come see Michael.
That hot shot.
And get the whole deal. So the Hot Shot Secret goes in and it kind of washes that out of the inside of the lifters, make the lifters work again. And if the noise goes away, that's a good indication that you're going to be fine. I would recommend changing the oil on a very regular basis all after that. And many times people can get some really, really good engine, some more miles out of the engine. We want to say congratulations because you are officially a winner. Do you feel any different?
Certainly.
Yeah. Most people, when this happens.
5.3 is notorious for that, isn't it?
Yeah. Most people, when this happens to them, when they become a winner, they walk with their head a lot higher, and it's kind of awesome. So congratulations. I'm gonna turn you over to our producer Mason Rogers and Ana Lopez, and they're gonna get you fixed up and get all some info from you. And thank you. Okay, we did get an answer to our Tech Tip quiz, and Jamie, it is your turn to ask Michael a machine shop question. What is it?
Well, this is a lot more modern than what I grew up with. So it is impressive for me to walk in here and see how much it's changed over the years. Mm-hmm. Just the tooling that you have, because everything that my grandfather had was 50 years old 30 years ago. So
Well, it's definitely changed, and it's changed just in the, I say a short amount of time that I've been involved in it. I've been involved in it pretty much my whole life. I remember going to work when I was 7, 8 years old with my dad and seeing it then. And then, of course, I remember when he was gathering tools up to start his own business. And, a lot of the stuff that he used was, almost portable or hand tools. There were very, very few fixed machines. I've got pictures when we first opened up, and, the little building we were in, at first it was like, wow, we got plenty of room. And, of course that changed pretty quickly. And now we have more standalone equipment that, we used to cut machine valve seats with a hand-held, more or less almost a drill motor and stones, and you'd grind them, where now we got dedicated guide and seat machines and we cut them with a bit. And it's just changed a lot. Like I was touching on earlier, we've tried to stay current with our equipment to not only produce better results, but to make it easier on our workers, Yeah. So that's one of the big things that's changed. And, we had to change because today's stuff requires closer tolerances, tighter tolerances, better finishes, and that. So that's probably the big thing. Back your old stuff, man, it was
Yeah,
as long as it was flat, it was fine.
hammer chisel.
my grandfather had one of those, and it was mounted. You could pick it up and you put it on the table, and it was an arm that came up with a motor on it. You'd put the guide down and then put the stone on it, and then you'd hold it to refinish the seat. But if you weren't careful, that thing would snatch your finger, and it wasn't going to stop. It just.
Y'all ready to go to the calls?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. And Jeffrey, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with? Hello, Jeffrey.
Sounds like I hear myself in the background.
Jeffrey's got the phone on, so we're going to put Jeffrey back in queue, and we'll come back to Jeffrey in a little bit once we get that in. I wanted to ask one quick question. We got about 30 or 40 seconds before we go to break. How important is that surface that you put on the metal now as opposed to years back?
It's very important, not only the surface where your gasket's sealed, but the surface where your piston ring seal, surface on valves, seats and valves, all of it's changed. Like I said, the tolerances are much tighter today than they
And I
ever
would
been.
think that part of the main reason for that is you have so many different types of metal in an engine now. You have aluminum alloy blocks. You have cast iron here. You have a carbon fiber over here, different things. And those will swell and contract at different temperatures. And if you don't have the right surface on there, that'll just eat away a gasket or whatever's there. Yeah, it chafes it away. So you really have to use the right surface. I think that a lot of people now, they wonder where they might be able to get something like a classic car engine built, because there's a lot of vehicles that you're just not able to order another engine for and it come in because it's got either special numbers, the block numbers need to match the vehicle, and they say, where can I get that done? And of course I always give them your name. I also it's important to know that a lot of people that are listening to this show are in different areas. They're not necessarily in the Augusta area. So I'm able to mention Michael Rivers, and I'm sure he takes things from other states and other areas. But either way, it's good to know a really good upscale machine shop. If you work with cars, whether you do it yourself or do it professionally, you need to have a good machine shop to work with. Now, in Michael's case, I send people, if somebody says, hey, I got this classic car, where can I get this built? I send it on Michael. And, of course, y'all do work on classic cars and different things.
Absolutely. It's very satisfying. These cars are these people's babies. I mean, they're crazy about them. And, for them to trust me with their engine, definitely means a lot to me. And so satisfying, to take care of their engine and, a month later, they come pulling up in your parking lot and walk back in, and they're driving their vehicle. And like I said, it's a lot of fun. The classics, they're all so different now, and each one presents its own challenges. Certain things we've been able to update to make the engine better than it was originally. Other things, we just go back like they were straight from the factory. Sourcing parts can be a challenge sometimes, but like I said, at the end of the day, when you can really come through for a customer and satisfying, it's a good feeling for sure.
Well, working with a car, a classic or something like that, could be a good family issue, a good thing that you could do with your family member. For instance, my son, when he was, I'm going to guess that he was somewhere in the 10 or 12. You remember that?
That was a long time ago.
I brought you an MG
gracious.
engine, didn't I? We brought a MG engine up here, and I said, Michael, can you do anything with this? He said, yeah, Aaron, I think we can do it. And come to find out there was some issue with the engine that we had, because this car had been stored in a container, a railroad car container, for like 20 years. It had fairly low mileage, but the rats had ate up a lot of stuff, and it was in pretty rough shape. And the engine was even worse because that's why it was in the container, because the engine had run hot. But brought it. Michael got that MG engine running, and we still have the MG there today. And we still, Brad drives it from time to time. We're still in the process of restoring, even after all these years.
Still working on it. It's
yeah, but things like that could be. I can see where that would be very satisfying to know that you built that engine and that that person's driving that antique car. And I was talking to a friend of mine just the other day, name's Mark, and he had a Pontiac. This was 2 days ago, and he said, "Aaron, I'm gonna be driving that thing up to Michigan." He said, But I took it over there to Bo's Machine Shop, and they rebuilt the engine for me.
He's going to the Pontiac show,
The
right?
Pontiac show, yeah, the national show.
I remember that engine. That was that was a fun deal.
He said it was running really good too.
Good.
So
good.
he was happy with the way it did. David, what's your next question? Machine shop question.
Man, I guess for me, it's like, what are you guys seeing on like cost? Everybody's seeing costs go up everywhere across the board. How has that affected you guys here in the machine shop?
Oh, it's virtually everything we touch is increased in price. From chemicals that we clean with to abrasives that we machine things with to the engine parts themselves, and we've had to adjust on the fly. I see some other companies and see some of the prices they're charging, and I really don't understand how. I guess they're doing it assembly line stuff, and their labor's cheaper than what I'm paying. But everything's went up, even just shipping. Having your stuff shipped in. But engine parts across the board have went up. Especially, I try to use top of the line brands.
Yeah.
I could get some that's cheaper, but I choose not to. You have problems using the very best from time to time, so I just eliminate that right out of the gate, and I just price my stuff to where we can still be somewhat competitive and still pay the bills.
Keep your equipment updated and keep it comfortable for your people.
No, like I said, it's all of it's satisfying. Because you have somebody come in and they ask you how much it is, and you tell them, and they say, "Dang, I seen one online for $300, but it's like, you know what? I don't know who them people are. I know y'all. We've been dealing with y'all for years. I trust y'all. I want you to do it. I'm gonna have it here tomorrow morning. Yeah. So it's.
I still remember this one person come to us one time, and they asked how much it was to do an alignment. Now, we got the top of the line alignment machine, 4-wheel, computerized. It does everything, adjust steering angle, sensors, and all of this other stuff. Really nice machine. So I gave him a price on that. And he said, "Aaron, that's a lot of money." I said, "Yeah, I realize that. It is." He said, "Well, he said, I would take it to my friend over there. He was doing it for a lot less than that, but he went out of business."
Yeah,
I said, "Well," I said, that kind of hits home there. So in order to stay in business, in order to keep your equipment updated, if you want to run a nice, reputable machine shop, you have to do that.
Amen.
Okay. Hey, do y'all? You think we can go over to the next item, which will have to do with the Collision Safety Consultants Event of the Week?
Event of the week.
David, that's your cue.
That needs intro music, by the
Dun,
way.
dun, dun.
Yeah.
We need to get that. We'll get some music.
So I think right now, I posted a video yesterday. I got a hot vehicle at the moment. As we talk about taking care of customers, and you have customers that come to you, again, I deal with this on a day-to-day where shops are fixing cars. And unfortunately, sometimes they just tell them they can't do anything else. And this customer, it was a 2019 Honda that I posted yesterday, and they told the customer it was too old. They couldn't match the paint.
And 2019 is too old.
Is night and day difference. So right now we've got it in the shop. We're working through that situation with them. Talk about the metals on, inside of the engines, the different metal components in there. A lot of cars now, just the body is developed and the frame is developed with different metals. And so, researching that stuff. And so I've got a Silverado we're looking at right now, and the the radiator support and the front frame rail section is made of a high-strength, low-alloy metal. And GM's got some specific things in there about if it's kinked, you can't repair it, you have to replace it. So we got some challenging conversations like that going on with the insurance companies, just trying to make sure these customers are taken care of. So that was probably the most interesting one this week, and this stuff's unrolling. It's coming together. So tune in, watch us online. I keep making videos. That's been the funnest thing here lately.
Yeah. Well, I know you've helped a lot of people with their insurance issues.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people walking them through different scenarios on what their options are. I think is one of the larger things, and I think the big thing is those different types of metal is there for a reason. Also, some metals will absorb impact better than others. And if you just put anything on there, it might look fine, it might do fine, but it may not necessarily protect the occupants inside the vehicle the way that they should. So everything should go back, and there needs to be a professional involved that knows all that type stuff.
You know, looking at that's on the repair side. When I look at recoveries for diminished value and total losses, right now, this month alone, I've recovered over $100,000. For
That's
people.
awesome.
Isn't that crazy? And that's just me. So there's multiple people around the country, but then I think about all the claims that happen every day and people that are shorted. So I just always say, go get a second opinion.
Yeah.
You know, don't always just take that first answer as that's what it is.
Well, that'll help people, even if they're not in this area. That'll help people to know that you're not necessarily stuck. There's people you can call if you don't feel like you're being treated fairly on your collision repair.
Just as we were on break about insurance companies and how they just beat up everybody, I actually saw Michael get fired up.
Yes, he did. He was fired up.
I almost thought he was going to grab one of these pieces of machine, start hitting on something. But, you know, hey, we're having fun. We're drinking coffee. This is the last segment for this hour, but we've got a whole new hour coming up soon. So don't go anywhere. Keep listening to us. If you got questions, give us a call here at the show. Aaron, what's that number?
800-224-9090. Give us a call. And it's time to go to the news.
Let's do it.
We're going to discuss a little news items. Michael, you already know the routine. We'll mention a topic, and then if you have a comment about it, now's the time to feed in. We might even mention some insurance questions later, though, and get you fired up again.
Let's save that for a break.
First topic, Volvo can continue to sell China cars in the U.S. thanks to a special authorization. The Swedish automaker, which is owned by China's Geely, got a special authorization, and Volvo builds the best-selling XC60 and XC40 in China. That's right. Volvo is owned by a Chinese company. Should they be able to sell cars in the U.S.?
Well,
I mean, we already sell Volvos here, so I guess
a lot of them already here.
Grandfathered in, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Volvo's always been the safest car out there, right? Like year in and year out, they're the safest car on the road. You know, I think it's always good to have an open market, but I think right now you got the tax credit. If you buy what's made in America, you get an extra tax credit.
You do.
So, I don't know.
I don't know how well their
owners.
safety rating's going to hold up if they're being made in China.
Well,
never know.
I think more and more cars. There are eventually going to be more cars that are made in China that are going to be here. Or, in reality, what's more likely to happen is more Chinese cars will be built here. Just like we have a lot of cars from Japan, their factories are here. BMW has factories here, and Mercedes has factories here. There will eventually be factories here from China that will build cars, and they will be sold in the U.S. The only little things that I'm a little torn on is there's so much of the information that we have that will be going back to China. And, of course, over the years, China has been really good with taking things that we do and cell phones.
Jamie's shaking her phone.
Your phone already knows everything that you do.
Well, you got a point there. So I think the cat's out of the bag on that deal. I mean, if a weather balloon flies over the U.S. and takes pictures of the whole U.S., I mean, there's not much they go get
we waited till that thing made it all the way across before we shot it down. So,
we did. Yeah. Why shoot it down over the ocean?
At that point, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's storing everything on a thumb drive across there. It's being sent back already.
I mean, the car today, you hook your phone into it, and then you put all of your personal information into the car. And, who knows? I mean, everybody knows that car's being tracked by everything else. So as you enter your information, where's that going?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And, I mean, I tell people that all the time when they have a total loss anymore. The most important thing to do when your car has been totaled is to make sure to get your information off there.
Yeah.
Because once that car leaves there and goes to a salvage yard and it's resold and wherever it goes, if your information's on there, I mean, you're
have it wiped out.
Up.
But most of the information, the things that you talk about, I mean, has anybody run into this where you'll be discussing something? Let's say you're discussing a scooter, an electric scooter. And then the next day, all of a sudden, ads are stopped.
Scooter ads now, yeah.
Yeah, they start popping up on your phone, electric scooter. Now, how would it all of a sudden think that, on this date, he might like an electric scooter? So all of this is being listened to anyway, everything that you're doing.
Big brother.
Yeah,
always listening.
So it's there. I think the cat's out of the bag, like you said, with the cell phone. I mean, it's out anyway. I am keeping an eye on all the EVTOL flying cars, is what a lot of people are calling them. I've been tracking those because I want one. I want one bad. and there's some from the U.S. like Jetson One and different companies like that that are selling some really nice ones. But I will say that there's some being made in China that's looks pretty good too.
I'm so hoping Jim's listening right now because I know he'll call in and get fired up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what we're saying is let them sell them.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Sell it.
All right. Well, let's go to the next one then. Synthetic oil shortage is here, and it's jumped from automakers giving warnings last week to an actual empty shelves. Supplies of 020 at Detroit area Target were sold out on May 23rd. Group 3 base oil, a key ingredient in synthetic oil and transmission fluid, is sourced from the Gulf. Okay, so we do expect a shortage. Now, here's my opinion on that part of it.
Everybody's going to be bombarding the automotive shops to get their oil change real quick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to run out because they, like we do, we bulk fill a tank. And if they don't have any bulk to fill my tank with, I don't have any oil either.
Yeah.
So I think what we need to mention to people out there is that if your vehicle takes a special oil like a 030, 020, full synthetic type oil, because those are what's affected, it would be a good idea to go ahead and get you a couple of changes kind of stocked away just in case you need it, because there could be months before they're able to get certain.
You know what I think about when you say that?
I'm thinking toilet paper.
Toilet paper and COVID. That's what I was
fixing
thinking
to
about.
say.
Go stock up, and then there's no toilet paper.
Go get
everybody goes out and buys the toilet paper. So then there is a shortage of toilet paper.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. This toilet paper.
Yeah, well, they're comparable. Both's a little messy at times. So, So you say don't worry about stocking any up.
I mean,
I think some of this stuff is manufacturer driven.
Yeah, I mean, you could go get an oil change and keep it for yourself, but don't go and buy every dang bottle that's on the shelf.
That's my opinion.
That's what the problem
I would say
is.
enough to change the oil to get through this. The agreement, the agreements are moving forward. There's a lot of headway on here, but in reality, it's going to take years before some of these places that are blown up can be rebuilt in order to start doing this. And this is mostly just the Group 3, I think is what they call it, that will affect full synthetic and a lot of transmission fluids, but it'll mostly affect full synthetic type items. So all oil won't be short. It'll just be special oil, but like 016 and a lot of these specialty type oils.
Yeah.
So I don't think it would be bad for people to keep at least enough for one changing.
They're going to start bringing oil into Aaron's shop. Hey, you're out, but I got it right here.
You'd be a
You
broker.
change my oil.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll go down the street and score a gallon of 016 oil. We're here with Michael Rivers, and he has he's answering a lot of questions having to do with machine shop work, and plus he's able to have a lot of discussions with us on things that are in the news right now. If you want to tune in, you can just tune in to your favorite radio station and catch us, or if you want to click, you can go to facebook.com/CC Auto Show, and you can watch the show live there, or you can go to ccautoshow.com. And that site is brought to you by Kingdom Web Pros, and I mean, they're awesome. They can make your vision become reality on a website and bring your company to the next level. Great place to work with, and they can make it happen for you. Do you think we should do another Tech Tip quiz?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. Billy Ray has a 2017 GMC 2500 diesel truck, and he uses it on the farm. He lost power, and it wouldn't go, so he poured a synthetic version of cow pee into it and made it go again. How was he able to get it going again with synthetic cow pee? If you know the answer to that, give us a call. The number, 800-224-9090, moo. All right, here we go. I was thinking that one of the things that we might do is continue with the news, because we were talking a little bit about the news. And as we were on the break, David brought up something that's going on at State Farm. This is kind of a off-the-cuff part, but to me it sounded very interesting. David, what's going on?
Yeah, so, everybody's embracing AI, right? So, yeah, there we go. Breathe in deep, Jamie. Is AI affecting the machine shops?
Well, AI is affecting everything.
There you
but
go.
My wife was happy the other day. We're working on different forms for taking in business and taking in work, and then having it as it moves throughout the shop. And she went to make up a form, and she used some form of AI. I think she just more or less punched in automotive machine shop intake form and hit a button, and here it popped out the whole thing just that fast. So
there you go.
definitely impressed her. So I guess it's going to touch every business in some form or fashion.
Yeah, every business is kind of getting hit by AI, but this was a shocking one to me. State Farm's always been known as the good neighbor, right? Like, you got an agent, you got somebody there. Well, they're going to Next Gen Good Neighbor. And with Next Gen Good Neighbor, their agents are fixing to take, there's 19,000 agents that are taking a 35 to 40% pay reduction because of the Next Gen.
Whoa.
Robo neighbors.
Robo Neighbor. And guess what? They also cut their health insurance. They're no longer going to offer their agents or their spouses health insurance. And for those
Really?
retired agents, you're losing all your benefits. This has been a big article. It's been hitting the news. It's all over the place. So,
so much for being a good neighbor.
Well, if that happened in that industry, you're talking about a large company with a lot of people. We just talked about a week ago of how Facebook laid off, what was it, 5,000 or 6,000 people, something like that. And they're trying to hire back a smaller number of people who has more to do with AI and cloud work. And then what was the other company that we talked about? Another company laid off a lot of people to do with AI. It was an automotive type deal. But anyway, if that's affecting these, it sounds like the snowball is rolling.
Oh, it's
going to have a terrible effect on a lot of people.
Well, you look at State Farm, primarily in the South, has always been like the largest carrier, right? Like I know in Augusta, like there was just a huge amount of agents. And if this is going to be the face of the way they're going so they can compete with your Geicos and your Progressives and all
and
those
online
digital companies, that agent's going away. So again, back to the consumer is you got to know your policy. You got to start really asking some questions to what are you signing up for? Because that's the worst thing that can happen. You sign up for some insurance because it's cheap, and then when you need it, you don't have what you need. Could be bad.
So the base salary for the CEO for State Farm is between $2 and $2.4 million. That's not including
his bonuses.
You think they'll be
bonuses
reducing
and
that one?
anything else.
I don't think he's not the one getting reduced. It's the agents that are on the ground. That's where it always happens. Like, let's beat up the people there.
I got a text message answer to the tech tip quiz if that counts.
Well, I got one up here. We got 2 callers, though, so I'm going to leave it up to you, Jamie. Should we go to the callers, or should we go? Is it fair? I think the callers would probably, because this has been up here for a little while.
Okay.
So, yeah, that would be the fair way to do it. Okay, we'll go over to Wesley. Wesley, welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
I got an answer to the tech tip quiz.
We're going to need to put you on the stage. And the question was, Billy Ray has a 2017 GMC 2500 diesel truck, and he uses it on the farm. He lost power and it wouldn't go, so he poured a synthetic version of cow pee into the truck. How was he able to get it going with a synthetic form of cow pee? And Wesley, what is the answer to today's tech tip quiz?
He put diesel exhaust fluid in it.
What does that have to do with cow pee?
Urea.
Oh, listen to that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did. He poured DEF fluid into the truck, and the DEF fluid is 32.5% high purity urea, a synthetic nitrogen compound made from ammonia and carbon dioxide. And actually, did you know that that's really not that corrosive on something? Like if you spill somewhere, I would think it would be very corrosive. But
have you ever spilled it on your skin?
Well,
you get to itching real quick.
No, I hadn't. I can't say I have. Now I do know that some of it can kind of crystallize just a little bit if you have it laying somewhere. But they say you can also use it as fertilizer if you dilute it the right way. You can put it out as fertilizer.
Yeah,
so
it comes into for farmers spread it on fields as a powder.
Yeah, but it's found naturally in pea, not just cow pea, but it's found naturally there. And it's also mixed with 67.5% deionized water. And now he did have to reset the computer once he poured some more back in. That is part of the thing that the Trump administration has done, is making it to where newer cars will not cut off if it runs out of DF. It'll have warning signs and there'll be different things, but it won't go down to reduce power, because a lot of farmers were running into issues. They were trying to get their crop in, and all of a sudden it would run out, and boom, it would lose power, and they were stuck. So they're making some changes in that department. But right now, he just filled it full of cow pee, and boom, he was on the road. Okay, Wesley, we are going to move you over to our show producers, Mason Rogers and Ana Lopez, and we appreciate you answering our tech tip quiz.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number to call, 800-224-9090, and we'll just go to the next caller just to find out if that's what he was had in mind. Wesley, welcome. Nope. Yeah. Malcolm, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help with?
Hey, Aaron. Wesley stole my thunder, but he's exactly right. I tell you something that's real funny about that urea. I used to be, I'm still a truck driver, but I used to haul tankers.
Uh-huh.
And we would haul DEF fluid from time to time and go load it up down at Columbia Nitrogen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a killer right here. That stuff costs almost $4. Well, some places over $4 a gallon. And you know what it cost them to make it?
No.
Nothing. It's a byproduct of the process they use down there.
Well, I see it. I see it a lot less than that. Like I see a lot of times, I'll see like 2.5 gallons for $20, stuff like that. But I sure didn't know that. Yeah. I'm gonna research that, Malcolm, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, research that. It is. It's a byproduct of making nitrogen fertilizer.
Wow.
It sure is.
Well, thank you.
But anyway, you guys have a good day. Great show. Great show.
We appreciate that very much.
I just don't think there's a topic we haven't covered. I mean, the star of the show, Jamie,
Oh my
she
gosh.
hasn't brought anything up about trucks. But so how's the big trucks? How's it affected by machine shops? What do they come here for?
I mean, the same thing.
Same thing?
You would bring in an automotive engine for. Same thing. Sometimes they do weird stuff. They run hot, and sometimes they just give up the ghost and decide they don't want to play anymore and just go kaplow. And
Just go kaplow.
yeah, that's
Jamie's words.
kaplow.
One thing that I was wondering about, Michael, a vehicle, let's say a larger truck engine, and they bring an engine and they would like an overhaul. Now, do most of the larger trucks, let's say a semi-truck, did they overhaul these engines in frame, or do they normally pull the engine out and bring you the engine to be worked on?
The first overhaul's almost always done in frame, and sometimes after the second overhaul, there's some things that they need to come down to like a bare block to take care of get some different things back in spec. But for the most part, I think all of them are in frames for the first time, and they basically take the head off, take the pan off, and push the pistons out and change the liners out and send me the head, and I rebuild the head, and then they go back with some go back with OE parts. Some are some different builders, they like aftermarket parts. I know I carry several vendors, PAI, Reliance, Interstate McBee. There's a bunch of different aftermarket brands. And my personal thoughts is most of all that stuff is high quality stuff. I think they get a bad name a lot of times because the installer mechanic misses something and then they have a problem and they blame it on that rather than going back with, should have went with an OEM kit.
Yeah, no, that's I sell a lot of PAI. I'm starting to sell more Alliant Power stuff, but I've toured the PAI facility, and it's made in the state of Georgia, in Atlanta. All their R&D manufacturing is in Georgia, and that is incredibly impressive.
Oh, they definitely. I think they're going through some growing pains because they got so big so fast. But when I unbox the stuff, I mean, I've dealt with different manufacturers, and I've had customers bring me stuff that they've sourced, and some of it you take out of the box and you think, okay, well, there's this, but the PAI stuff that I take out of the box, it's good looking stuff. I mean, and I use a ton of it, and like I said, I can't think of the first instant of anything that I've used and had a problem that I could blame on them.
Now, with this, we're kind of in both of your lane now. I mean, Jamie works with these larger trucks a lot. Michael, you work with a lot of the larger trucks along with cars and classics, a lot of other stuff. But let's say a semi-truck. What's the average mileage that you see on one of these trucks before they're due for an overhaul?
It depends on vehicle maintenance. If they keep up with it, somewhere starting around 500,000 maybe, but usually 750 to closer to 1 million miles if you're lucky before you do an in-frame.
A lot of those hit around 1 million miles, and we're seeing cars now with easy 300,000-400,000 miles on them. Now, Michael, what would be the process that you would go through? Let's say that they brought a cylinder head in here, and they told you that they would like this cylinder head tested. What would be a process that y'all would do as far as it coming in? What would you do to it, and then the going out process?
We start with some form of degreasing. If we're going to do a full rebuild, we do an initial degrease, and then we disassemble it and run it through our hot tank chemical, get it good and clean. Once it comes out of there, first step is crack detection and pressure testing to make sure you do have a sound core to build off of. Some cores you take in will either be cracked or they might have porosity issues or something such as that, and you got to start over. You got to get another core to do that. But that's where we start, and once we get that done, it progresses into stuff like replacing the valve guides, replacing injector cups. A lot of the heads, the valve seats themselves will be worn, so you'll have to pull the inserts, put new inserts in, and then machine them to get the depth of the valves back within spec where they're supposed to be, and then you resurface the deck of it to get your gasket good seal, and then it goes through another degreasing process to get it good and clean before the assembly starts. And then, of course, once you assemble it, you've got certain tests that you perform to make sure everything is where it's supposed to be.
Measurements are critical. You
Oh,
talk about how far the
absolutely.
valve sits down. I imagine the height of the valve springs and
Sure.
all of these things. They're critical to get all that right, because you're talking about putting that engine together and
For a million miles.
Yeah,
for a
$1 million miles, and you want that vehicle. Everything has to be just right before it goes out the door.
We have no choice but to get it just right, because, in the past, you might have companies that, their record keeping was non-existent. Now, virtually all the companies, they track their vehicle maintenance. Smart ones do anyhow. And, if they have a problem with a head that's only got 100, 200,000 miles on it, they want to know why. So when you build it, you got to make sure it's set up for the long haul.
Wow, that's some awesome stuff.
Mason was absolutely blown away, one of our producers a few minutes ago, about a truck getting 1 million miles on it before it gets its engine redone. So
I had a customer rebuild one about 6 months or so ago, had 1.2 million miles in it before it needed its first end frame.
For most people, that just sounds crazy.
I guess
think
I'm
about
used to
a
hearing
million, 2 miles, right? Most everyday consumers driving a car, and you hear 100,000 miles, and people start kind of freaking out. But to your point, Aaron, people are driving cars a lot longer than 100,000 miles now.
Oh, big time. And that's one of the things I learned when I was in the Air Force, because we would have jets that they would take off, they would fly 2 to 3 times a day, and some of them practically every day of the week. And some of them would have unbelievable hours on the aircraft, but they took care of them. Whatever they needed, they would do. Cars are the same way. If you're going to buy a car and you're going to keep it a year, I wouldn't worry about things like transmission, fluid exchanges, coolant fluid exchanges. But if you plan to keep a car like I do, I normally keep my cars anywhere from 10 to 15 years minimum. If it's a classic type car, of course, I keep it forever. But if you're going to have a car and you're going to keep it a long time, if you do things like keep that oil changed and you keep the transmission fluid changed, the coolant exchanges, you're not doing it real often. Like, for instance, on a transmission fluid exchange, you're talking about every 40 or 50,000 miles. That's 4 times out of 15 years or so. So you're not doing it extra often. And it's saving you a huge amount of money. And cars, they won't go 1.1 million or 1.2 million miles, but cars go a long, long time also if you just take care of them, just maintain them the right way. Now, ready to go to the next item in the news?
Let's do it.
This is a big one to me. It's kind of heavy on me because I know it puts a lot of people in a rough situation, but more than 3 in 10 trade-ins now carry upside-down loans per Edmunds. And that's a third of the buyers are rolling an old loan into the balance on the new one. And I think that a lot of times people should do a lot of research before they purchase a car. I think if you have plenty of money and it's no object, don't worry about it. Just get whatever car you want to get and enjoy the heck out of it. But if you don't want to take a chance on getting in an upside down loan, do a little research. Find out, hey, what's this car going to be worth in 3, 5, 10 years or whatever length of time I plan to keep it, and will it hold up that long? In other words, you don't want to purchase a car that's bound to depreciate in value 40% in 2 years or something like that.
Well, that's the hard thing is you buy the newest, latest, and greatest, and how do you foresee what recalls are going to come out?
This
you
is
know,
a
like
product.
the Kias or with the piston rings that didn't harden properly, they were locking the engines down. I mean, how do you foresee that coming in the future?
Mm-hmm. This is a product of what happened in 2025 and 2020 or in 2020.
Yeah.
Right when COVID hit and car lots were almost empty, right? And there was impulse buying and people were paying above sticker price and they were financing cars. And then you had finance options right now that are 6, 8, 10 years on a car, and you don't need to be buying it. You got people that have $1,500 and $1,800 car payments that you don't need that. And, it's kind of like the oil. Like you want to just stash up oil because there's none there. Well, when cars weren't on the lots, everybody was freaking out. They just need to go buy a new car because there wasn't going to be any cars available because we didn't have any chips to put in the cars to make the cars, right? And I called this 5 years ago. I said, this is going to be an absolute disaster. You're going to have people upside down in cars. You're going to have repos at an all-time high, and you can read that in the news right now. That's happening. I see it every day with total losses. I got people who call me. They're like, hey, my car got totaled. This is all they're wanting to offer me, but I owe a lot more than this. And I have to be honest with people sometimes and like, hey, I can only get you this amount, and you're still going to be upside down.
Hole, yeah.
I mean,
well, the other thing I see happening right now is we're jumping from one thing to the next. Right now, everybody's saying, well, the EVs turned out to be a car not for everybody. In the beginning, it was going to answer everybody's prayers for everything. They were going to be fine. Now we're finding out the EVs might be good in some situations, but they're not good in all situations. And some people got stuck with them and ended up losing money on the doggone things because a lot of those dropped in value 40, 50%. Now everybody's jumping. They say, well, I want to feel good about the environment, so I'm going out and buying a hybrid car. A hybrid's the way to go. Well, it might be on some cases, but the fact is, just the other day, I didn't bring the letter with me, but if you was to go to ChatGPT and say, how much money will I save by buying a hybrid? Will I come out? It gave the amount that you would save each year, but it said in the end that you will probably not get a return on it. If you was to figure up the gas, let's say that you were going to get 20 miles to the gallon better, but you're paying $5,000 or $6,000 more for the vehicle. On average driving, you're not going to get a return for that vehicle. So all I'm saying is, but at the same time, if you feel good about a hybrid, which to be honest, that most of the Toyota hybrids, they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Well, you had a Prius.
I did. I drove a Prius for a long time. Beautiful car. But the fact is, if I was buying it because I thought I was going to get a return on an investment, no, it's in many cases, it's not going to be there. So I'm saying that if you don't want to get upside down, do some research before you buy the vehicle. Just say, what if I keep this vehicle 5 years? And I'm getting 10 miles to the gallon more. I see people go trade in a car and spend $20,000 or $30,000 so that they can get an extra 10 miles to the gallon. And if you do the math on it, you're going to lose money is what it amounts to. So just be careful is all I'm saying.
I say it all the time. It's not about what people need. It's about people want.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's shiny this, shiny that, bells, whistles. And I see it in some of my customers. They need a rebuild for the car they drive back and forth to work every day, but they race dirt track too, and they think if they get a little bit better motor for that, they're gonna win the race. So, rebuild the car that I drive back and forth to work, or
dirt car.
Dirt car it is. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So and the same thing with these shiny automobiles. They see it and get a case. They gotta have it. And
well, like right now, gas prices are up. So everybody's going to take their big SUV and they're going to say, oh, gas prices up. I'm going to go sell this thing. I'm going to get me a small car that gets 20 miles to the gallon more. Then as soon as the gas prices drop back down, everybody's going to take that one that got better gas mileage in and buy the big SUV again. We go through that cycle that we do. But do the math, because if you do that math, you'll find that getting 10 miles to the gallon more, 15, even 20, is not saving you as much money as you think it's going to save you as you go.
Well, and I'm seeing a lot of people that run out there, they grab hold of these gap coverages, in their loan, and they believe that just because I have gap, it's going to completely cover me if I get in an accident. Well, that's not always the case. You've got to read what type of gap coverage you have. I had a customer the other day that their gap coverage would only cover 150% of more of what was owed on the loan if their car was totaled. Well, after the total loss was done and they had gotten their offer, what was going to be remaining on the balance was 174% more than what was there. So they were going to be stuck. Their gap would cover some, but they were still going to be stuck with a percentage. So we invoked the appraisal clause. We got them some more. I was able to get them to 140%. So their gap did cover them, and they got out of it. But again, had they not known that, they would have they'd have totaled their car. Their gap would have covered some, but they would have still had negative equity to roll into another car loan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to be very careful. We'll cover this one real quick. David, you can probably tell us good, bad, or not good real quick. Tesla has highlighted one of the more consequential safety benefits of its camera-based Tesla Vision system, the ability to deploy front airbags up to 70 milliseconds earlier than traditional crash sensors. In other words, it's predicting an accident. It's putting the airbags out before the accident occurs. Good or bad?
I don't know whether that's good or bad. I think, if it's a safety thing, but what happens if you don't actually have the wreck?
Exactly.
Your airbag goes off and hits you in the face for no reason.
I did want to mention something that happened at the shop, and this was actually yesterday. And I love jobs like this. Jobs like this that go the right way is always fun to talk about. And, of course, you're kind of proud of them. We had a 2016 Buick in the shop this week, and the customer said it was burning up alternators. They had been putting their own alternators on. They were on number 3, still acting up. And when they put the third one on, it didn't charge at all. And then it boom, when it did crank, they'd keep hitting it, and it'd finally start up. And then the alternator wasn't putting out anything, battery light on. And so we started running the tests, and we just jumped right on running a voltage drop test. We'd run a voltage drop test from the post on the starter over to the battery itself, and it was dropping like 2.1 volts in that area. So we were able to trace back closer and closer and closer. Finally, we got all the way right next to the post on the battery, on the starter. We were still dropping 2.1 volts. So we said, well, we have a problem there. And, of course, the alternator wasn't charging when it did crank up. So we started checking, and that connection right there at the starter where all these wires meet, it had a very high resistance right in that area. And bingo, we got in there. We found as we were working with it, when we finally knew where it was, it was kind of hard because everything was kind of tight right there, but you could move it just a little bit and it would start charging and do a lot better. So we went in, we took all those eyelids apart. We took some CRC QD contact cleaner. We sprayed all the terminals down real good, cleaned them real good, put them back on, tightened them back up, run the voltage drop test, and it was like 17 millivolts voltage drop there. Beautiful. Tested good, cranked it, alternator charging, beautiful. So everything went really good. And I love jobs like that. So I did want to get a chance to mention that. Yeah, Thomas was working with that one. He did a fantastic job. Yeah, he called me back there and said, just want you to recheck it. Oh, the alternator was charging 13.89 volts. Fantastic. Okay, I wanted to ask Michael a couple other quick questions. What is the most interesting engine that you've worked with?
That's a good question. I could probably give several different answers for that, but
I know you've seen some weird ones over the years.
Probably the most interesting one that comes to mind was like a 1930s model V12 Packard engine.
Ooh.
We did that. It's been many years ago, but the engine was, in my humble opinion, was really ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I have a 67 Pontiac inline 6-cylinder overhead cam.
Oh.
You don't think about a 67 Pontiac being overhead cam, but here it is. And so that's an interesting one for sure. But the Packard is the most. We did it for Mr. Farmer at the concrete block place in North Augusta.
That is amazing. Well, in doing that, there's no doubt you have to do some extra research, find out tolerances and a lot of different things about the engine. So I think it's important for people to know that you do those type jobs. Now, the next question I had is, what do you think is the best engine that's ever been made?
That's hard to say. We could argue that for quite a while. But what I will say is GM's LS platform, it is wildly popular, and it's and it's a good platform. You know, you got 5.3, 6 liter, 6.2. And, you know, people are buying these things from the junkyard, doing very little work to them and carrying them to the drag strip and running the hound out of them. And
slapping them in everything.
They supercharging them, turbocharging them. Yeah, I mean, and some of them are doing, you know, you got companies, that's their thing is LS swaps. And some of them, they put them in and, you know, it looks almost like they come from the factory in it.
Now, if you had, let's say you had a LS engine and it had active fuel management on it, and you were driving it pretty much every day, would you install one of the or the little plug to delete the AFM feature?
Yeah, sure. I can't even remember building one in recent memory that I went back with the fuel management lifters, and that's, you know, not only the GM, the Dodges, all of it. And, you know, when I do it, I send the ECM off and just have it flash so you don't even eliminate it. But I see it. And those engines, they either go one of two ways. Either they get about 70,000 miles on them and then have problems, or some of them manage to make it throughout the life. But, you know, like I said, when I go through them, that's the first thing I do is, you know, I just tell them up front, we're going to delete that. And I definitely feel like it's advantage not cycling on and off.
Yeah, you got to figure how many times that's doing it over and over and over again, just on a normal drive, how much it's got to wear out after a period of time. And then you add just a slight bit of not changing the oil on time, and boom, that pushes it completely off over the edge.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so you're interested in that. Now, we're going to look into the future just a little bit. This is kind of interesting. Okay, right now, we have vehicles, almost every engine has you have the crankshaft, then you have your camshaft, and then you have your timing mechanism all in between. You have the camshaft helping to push the valve down. Do you think we'll hit the time to where it'll be common to just completely do away with the camshaft and have only electronic valves?
Oh, I definitely think it's coming. I've heard, you know, rumblings of that.
Oh, there's engines out there that
now.
do it now, but I'm just wondering, is it common? Jamie, you shook your head on that. Have you seen some things having to do with that?
Not not in person, but yeah, I have heard about the camless engines.
Yeah, just think about how much that will save in doing that. You'll be able to take your basic block. You'll be able to completely take the camshaft, throw it away. You'll be able to completely take the timing mechanism, completely throw away. You'll have a vehicle that's completely controlled electronically, and you'll have complete control over all of the fuel that's in there.
Yeah, there's there you go. They call them free valve engines, and those are in production, just not here.
Yeah, I knew that they were making them, but I didn't know. I mean, I just wonder, are they going to be common?
I'm sure at a certain point they will, but, you know, I'm kind of, and it'll be like anything else. It'll have to grow on me a little bit at first. And, you know, I'll learn what to do and what not to do. But right now, if you ask me my opinion, you know, like or dislike, I'm going to say dislike.
Yeah.
You know, give me a timing chain and a cam. You know, that's why I like the LS platform is it's no double overhead disc, no 4 timing chains. It's
all
the
of that would be
cams
gone.
in the block, and you got some push rods and rocker arms, and.
But that's one thing I felt from many, many years ago is we still have a long way that we can take the internal combustion engine. It's actually only getting started on what can be done. Some of these vehicles that come into the shop now, you're talking about a 3-cylinder engine. They might be 2 foot by 2 foot. And produce 150, 200 horsepower.
It's definitely a trend toward smaller turbocharged engines.
Yeah. So I think there's some amazing stuff. I look forward to seeing what's in the future. I also love to track what some people call flying cars. It's EVTOLs. I track those a lot. I'm all into those. I'm watching them real closely on how they're progressing. But I love technology, and I think we going to be seeing a lot of great technology having to do with EV cars, a lot to do with internal combustion engines. And it's going to be very exciting. I get excited when I see all the things that's coming up in the future. And Michael, I get excited when I see all the things that you're doing in here. I love this.
Thank you.
How can people learn a lot more about Bo's Machine Shop?
You can follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram, or you can go to bosmachineshop.com.
Okay. And it's time to close this hour out. David, Jamie, Michael, Anna, Mason, we had a great show, and we will see everybody again next week with a shiny new C&C Auto Show.